Okay, this is the SEADS public consultation launch. Thanks everyone for joining us. I'm patching in today from upstate New York, from my farm, which is under about 12 inches of snow. Not the growing season here, but I hope it is sunny and nice wherever all of you are. Thanks for joining us today. And I just want to let everyone know that this is being recorded. So what are we going to talk about today? Why are we here? Our objective with the webinar is to get the public consultation off to a good start and familiarize you with how to provide your comments on the draft SEADS handbook. We have a pretty simple agenda today. I'll introduce the project and the standards briefly for those who may not already be familiar. And I'll provide an overview of the handbook, a brief overview of the handbook. And then most of our time we'll spend looking at how to actually comment on the handbook using the interactive handbook platform. I'll provide some guidance on commenting, both technical guidance as well as some guidance on what kinds of comments we're looking for. And then we'll have time at the end also for a Q&A. So today from the SEADS team on the webinar, we have the coordinator of the SEADS project. We have Andy Catley, who is the chair of the SEADS steering group, and Ann Rade, who is our communications expert. If you have questions during my presentation, please put your questions in the Q&A. This will help us keep all questions in one place. If you have any technical difficulties, feel free to pop those in the chat, but let's put all questions related to how you comment on SEADS in the Q&A if you have them during the presentation. So what is the SEADS project and what are the SEADS standards? SEADS is an inclusive and consultative process to develop evidence-based standards for supporting agricultural livelihoods in emergencies. We hope that the standards will enable those responding to humanitarian crisis to design, implement, and evaluate crop-related interventions to maintain and strengthen livelihoods of farming communities, support preparedness and post-emergency recovery, and to increase their resiliency. The SEADS team is made up of a steering group, a field team, and a management team. So our steering group has 9 members from the International Committee of the Red Cross, Catholic Relief Services, Tufts University, SOS Sahel Sudan, the American University of the Caribbean, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the UN, World Vision International, Norwegian Refugee Council, and the Livestock Emergency Guidelines and Standards. Our field team has 4 members in Gaza, South Sudan, Nepal, and Mozambique. And our management team is made up of myself and Andy, the chair of the steering group committee, the chair of the steering group. So who will use the SEADS standards? We hope that the SEADS standards will be useful for anyone who is involved in crop-related projects in emergencies. These could be people who provide preparedness, emergency recovery, or resilience assistance, such as aid organizations, bi- and multilateral agencies, as well as governments. Or it could be policy and decision makers in donor and government agencies whose funding and decision affects emergency response. The SEADS approach to developing the standards focuses on livelihoods. It recommends that crop-related crisis responses should be based on livelihoods analysis and aim to achieve one or more of the SEADS livelihood objectives. Each SEADS standard aims to reestablish or maintain pre-existing livelihood benefits while ensuring crop-based livelihoods are better able to withstand future shocks. This type of approach essentially means that SEADS systematically considers the systems, services, and markets that support livelihoods during preparation for crisis, immediately after crisis, and during recovery. SEADS is also underpinned by the Humanitarian Charter, the protection principles, and aligns closely with the other HSP standards and the core humanitarian standard. Our approach is also based on evidence. So we track and use evaluations, reviews, and impact assessments of agriculture crisis response to form our evidence base. So documents in this global evidence base are categorized as strong, moderate, or weak in terms of their impact on crop livelihoods and are used to support the development and refinement of the standards. Given limited evidence on the impacts of crop-related crisis response, our approach to developing the standards also relied on expert opinion. So what has been our process for getting to where we are today? We have 5 steps in the entire process, and we're right in the middle. In 2020 and in 2021, we reviewed the evidence, and then we drafted the standards. And now we're starting the public consultation and the simulation process. Throughout the project, we'll invite humanitarians and agriculture experts from across the globe to help develop, to help test, revise, and roll out the standards. The process we are following for the consultations, this step of the process that we're in right now, is a process that's recommended by the Humanitarian Standards Partnership, and many of you may have participated in similar consultations for other humanitarian standards. So let's take a look at the handbook itself and see what the draft has in it before we dive into how to comment. So the handbook has 2 sections, similar to LEGS, the Livestock Emergency Guidelines and Standards. It is divided into foundational chapters and technical chapters. Next slide. The foundational chapters set the scene in the introduction and in chapter 1 by providing some nuts and bolts. So what is SEADS, why use it, how to use it, and some contextual information on the relationship between crops, livelihoods, and humanitarian response. These foundational chapters include a chapter on meal, a new chapter that LEGS does not have, but which is directly related, which seeks to respond to the fact that our evidence review discovered a dearth of evidence on the impact of crop-related crisis response on livelihoods. And so this chapter seeks to provide practical, rapid frameworks and tools for monitoring impact and learning and supporting learning. In our technical chapters, we focus on 3 common response areas in crop-related crisis response: seed and seed systems, tools, equipment, and other non-seed inputs, and crop-related infrastructure. We also have a number of annexes meant to support your use of the handbook: glossaries, abbreviations, a general bibliography of reference materials and additional reading, and we acknowledge our contributors and authors in a final section. So, to summarize, across these foundational and technical chapters, SEADS provides a series of tools to help you make decisions across any stage of the project cycle. So in order in the book, these tools begin with asking initial assessment questions, and they move through response identification, developing the project's meal system, working through decision trees in the technical chapters, all the way to using the standards to design, implement, and evaluate your response. So now let's take a look at how you can provide feedback to this draft handbook. So our public consultation, next slide. Oops, let's go to the next slide first, Anne, and then we can switch over.
Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, okay.
Thank you. So the public consultation will run from January 17th today through February 4th. You can view the handbook on the interactive platform, which we'll look at in a second. You can create an account to submit comments, and you can choose if your comments will be private or public. You will also need to select the type of feedback you're providing, whether that feedback is grammatical, style or word choice, and therefore editorial, or whether it is related to the technical details, clarity, or consistency of the information in the handbook. Next slide. So we hope to receive a lot of comments from this public consultation. Your input on this book is the most important piece of this process, as the whole point of it is to be useful for practitioners. So we hope to receive a lot of comments. Now, how can your comments be really extra helpful for us? First, be specific about the wording or grammar change you want. So if you're reading and you decide that this could be clearer written in a certain way, suggest that wording. That will be very helpful to us in making the revisions that respond to your concerns. If you have concerns about a technical aspect that you feel is either incorrect or inconsistent, please share your evidence that you have to base your feeling on. If there's documentation or reviews that you are aware of that we have not cited, please do send those, and you can put links to them in your comments, or you can send an email to me with that additional evidence. Suggest the change that you want to see. So if a section is unclear or is not meeting your needs for being practical, feel free to suggest what you'd like to see. We will do our best to accommodate particularly comments that repeat themselves over many users. So if we see that many users are having the same problems in a section, we will look to make revisions there. Okay, so we're going to switch over to looking at the actual platform itself, and I will demo some options of how you create an account and make comments. So I will share my screen now. Okay. Okay, hope that is visible for everyone. You just get, and you can confirm you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see it. Looks good.
Great. Here we go. Okay, so when you come to this, follow the link to this platform. It should look very similar to what you see when you go to the Sphere Interactive Handbook platform and you want to look at any of the handbooks that are already approved as members of the Humanitarian Standards Partnership. We are using the same platform. So hopefully for some of you who have tested out the commenting function on Sphere, you'll be somewhat familiar with this perspective and looking at handbooks in this way. The first thing you'll need to do, well, in order to view the handbook, you can just go to the link and you can scroll through and look at any section of the book you want. The chapters are over here on your left-hand side, and you can click through chapters and review and look at different sections of the handbook without creating an account. However, if you would like to submit a comment, you will need to log in. Up here on the right-hand side is a login button. So I will walk through the process of logging in and creating an account. So I click on login. It will bring up this box that allows you to sign in if you already have an account, or sign up, or recover your account if you've forgotten your password. So if you have not yet created an account, you will click on sign up. You will need to provide this information. Once you provide this information, there are a few questions and tick boxes here at the end. If you don't already receive the SEADS newsletter, please do click this box so you can get onto our newsletter and continue to follow our progress and contribute when there are opportunities to do so. And there's some privacy statements that you will need to click in order to create your account. And then you can sign up here, and you will receive an email, and you will have to confirm your account by going to your email and confirming the account. In that email, it will provide you with a password, a temporary password, which you can put in here, come back to the sign in form and put in here and sign in. So I will, before I do that, I would like to show you actually one other feature. Even if you have not yet created your account, you can click on this comments sidebar here, and any public comments from users that have already been made will show up here. So for example, should see some comments. Oh, they don't seem to be appearing. However, in theory, if there are public comments that have been made and accepted by the SEADS team, they will appear here even if you do not sign in. So let me log in using my username and password so that I can show you how to do some of the comments. There are two ways to comment. The first way, and the most specific way, is simply by highlighting text. So for example, if I want to comment on this here, I select that text, and when I release the cursor, this comment box will pop up. Now it says already that you are currently visiting this chapter, chapter 4, initial assessment and response identification, and I have to select public or private. If I select public, this means that once my comment has been approved by SEADS or accepted by SEADS, it will become public for any user to see. If I select private, that comment will only be seen by the SEADS team. Now, if I select public, I still have to select what type of comment. So let's say I want to make an editorial comment. So I'll select editorial. You also have the choice with a public comment to select anonymous. This means that your username or the name you used to sign up for create the account on the platform will not appear. It will simply appear as anonymous user. So you can still have a public comment, but not have your name attached to it if you would prefer. So I can make my comment here and say, for now, I'm going to say this is a test comment, and I'd like it to be anonymous. So once I'm finished making my comment on that selected text, I click submit. And up here in the top right-hand corner, you'll see a small green box that appears and said that my comment was added successfully. So that is the first way that you can make a comment. The second way you make a comment is by clicking on this side panel here. Yes, and you can see some comments that I have made previously are showing now in this sidebar. So the difference here, sorry. This is the test, this is the comment that I just put in. So on this right-hand side, I can not only make an additional comment, but I can also see all the comments that I have already posted, as well as other users' comments. So this is a test comment, the one I just made, still shows that it's possible to edit or delete this comment. Those functions are possible until the SEADS team has accepted your comment. And in order for it to become public, we have to accept it. And that doesn't mean that we agree with it. It simply means that you have not written something outrageous, like some form of personal insult or something that's completely irrelevant to commenting on the handbook. We will accept and make sure that it is not a spam response, and it will go public. It doesn't mean that we agree with it. It simply means that a user has commented and it's cleared to go public. So until we have accepted your comment, then you will be able to edit or delete it. So the second way to make a comment is to click on this upload comment button. Here you're required to, because you have not selected text, you're required to select a few additional pieces of information. Is your comment on which chapter is it on? We're in chapter 4. and I want to make a comment on this whole introductory section. So I want to make a comment on the importance, the section that includes the importance of initial assessment and response. So I click on that section. You make a, I'd like this comment to be private. Again, I select which type of comment, and I write my comment in this text box here. And I submit it. So those are the two ways to test, two ways to provide a comment. Now let's say that you would like to just provide a general comment that is unrelated to a specific chapter. You can also do that in this upload comment box by selecting non-content specific. So that essentially means that you are making a comment that is a general comment that isn't related to any chapter. You don't have to select the section because that's irrelevant. Again, you have to select the type of comment. Likely, if it is a non-content specific non-content specific comment, for example, if it was an editorial comment, it might be something like, I find the, when I print this out, the orange font is difficult to read, or some general comment about the graphic representation of the book, for example. And then you would submit the comment in the same way as you did before. So let's look at a couple other features here as we've now gone through how to comment. As I said before, your chapters, your different sections of the book, as well as your subsections, are here on the left. Chapter 4, chapter 5, 6, 7, and 8. And your annexes. You can pop this out so that you see the names of the chapters here, or you can minimize it by clicking on those 3 lines in the top left. To return to the home, the beginning of the book, you press the SEADS icon. In settings, I'll just wait for this to load. In settings, you have the option to show supporting documentation, show user comments, or show multimedia by clicking these toggles on and off. As we've just launched, there are not many comments yet here, but as comments come in, we should see this side panel filling up with comments. If you want to search for a specific part of the book, so let's say I am interested in how SEADS wants to monitor impact. How does SEADS suggest we monitor impact? I can refine my search using all these drop-down menus here. So there's that only handbook. This is the same search function as Sphere has, but because SEADS is not yet part of the Humanitarian Standards Partnership, we are not on the platform, so we have only one option on this. With this link is to look at our handbook, SEADS. In terms of chapters, we can pick which chapter, or I can leave it open for all chapters, and I can pick whether I want to look at all content, specific standards, key actions, key indicators, or guidance notes. I want to look for everything and see where it pops up. So this is the same search function as you have in Sphere. So it says there is no exact wording for monitor, no exact result for monitor impact. So let me try to refine my search, impact monitoring. And we can see that that wording is present in 2 of the chapters. So that is the search function. You also have the option here to sign up for the new SEADS newsletter, which will bring you directly to our website, and you can sign up here. the comment sidebar, as we are already familiar with. You also have facts. If you have questions, specific questions, you can look in the frequently asked questions link to see if it answers your question. And you also have the ability here under your profile under this, where your name is on the top right-hand corner, to change your password, update your profile, look at all of your comments, or log out. Okay. So I think at this point, I'm going to stop sharing. And we can go back to the presentation.
Okay, just 1 second.
Thanks. Okay, so if you have technical issues about either getting an account or creating comments, or your comments aren't showing up, please email help-editing@rvtproduction.com. And in the subject of your email, write SEADS IH, which stands for Interactive Handbook, SEADS IH help needed. So if you are having, again, if you're having any technical issues with providing comments, any technical issues at all, please ask RVT Production through this email for support with that. Okay. Next slide, Anne. So as comments come in, we will check them for validity, as I said, and post everything that is public and comprehensible. We'll only make edits to the text during the public consultation where there is a non-substantial error that's causing confusion. So for example, if the number of a table is incorrect or there is a word missing, then we will make those changes. But any substantive comments or requests for revisions, we will address those at the end of the simulation when all the comments are in. Okay. So we have time now for questions about how to comment on the draft. Please put those questions in the Q&A and I will take a look at them. We'll address as many as we can now and continue to support along the way as this rolls out. So let me take a look at the Q&A here. Here we go. Okay, can you comment on comments? Great question. At this point, that functionality is not possible. There is a chance that as we find whether that is useful, what we want to avoid is a long technical discussion happening in the comments, because that will get difficult to be clear about what changes should be made. However, if you want to refer to a previous comment by a user in your comment, that can be very helpful. I agree with X person. I have had the same experience as this person. Those are great. You could also say I disagree. But again, the most useful comments to us are those that make a concrete proposal of what kind of change you'd like to see. So the technical, feel free to, if you are, the technical discussion around correctness is not something that this platform is easily able to facilitate. We can have those discussions in a different way through, we can hold another webinar to discuss certain aspects, or we can feel free to email me if there is a concern, specific concern that is creating discussion amongst your colleagues that you are not able to convey through comments. So I see I see Natalie's question here about what do you call a tool in your handbook? So the tools vary. There are a number of different tools. I will answer very briefly now, but we want to keep our questions here on the webinar just to how to comment. But in general, our tools are frameworks, they are decision trees, they are tables, they are processes. There are different types of tools in the book, throughout the book, that you can use as a practitioner to help you make decisions. Let's see. Yes, I see that there is an issue with seeing the comments that have already been accepted on the platform. And I wonder if that is, we'll have to, I was able to view comments yesterday from others when I tested this out. So I'm wondering if you are logged in, it may be that that's the only time you can see the comments. However, it should be that anyone can see them. So there are some glitches in the system that we will need to figure out. So stay tuned on that one. The two comments that I accepted from myself yesterday were uploaded and they should be visible, but it sounds like maybe they are not. So that is something we'll have to look into. Okay. I see some great questions here about the SEADS project in general. I want to just wait for a moment and see if there are other questions about how to respond or how to leave comments before we use any remaining time to answer other questions. Maybe Anne, can you confirm whether through your account you can see the comments that I accepted and uploaded from Racy test on chapter 4? Or is that not possible?
Yeah, no, I can do that. I'll just stop sharing the screen, but I don't think we need the screen share right now.
Okay, great.
Let me just, which chapter were you in? Chapter 4, right?
Chapter 4. So, okay, so Sean says he's logged in but cannot see any comments. So part of the effort that SEADS has made to use this same platform is to develop additional functionality. And some of the whole purpose of this is to test that functionality. So thank you all for being patient with this process and helping us refine it. I do see, so please put your questions in the Q&A. I see some questions coming into the chat. It's easier for us to keep track if they are in the Q&A, so please put them in the Q&A button. Comments will be open, Natalie, from until February 4th. So you have, I guess that's 2 weeks. If we find that people are requesting additional time or that there is good comment flow coming in, we can extend that. But at this point, it is till February 4th.
Racy, just to jump in here.
Yeah.
I did check my account and I'm not seeing your comments. I'm only seeing mine. So this is something we'll definitely have to check with RVT on.
Okay, great. Thanks. Yes, Sylvia, I see your question about can different people from the same organization comment on the handbook? You may, yes, anyone can comment, any individual or any organization can comment on the handbook. It is by account. So if you'd like to create an account for your organization so that SEADS knows that all these comments are coming from a specific organization, that's very interesting and very helpful for us. In many cases, that may not be possible as people comment at different times and in different ways. So it is by account that you can create a comment. So anyone can create an account and leave comments. So I see a question from Somketa Emmanuel Wadrago. How to manage if we need to do technical comments, which imply sharing evidence documents with the SEADS team. The best thing to do for us is to put a link to the document, in your comment. If we are to use your documentation, in most cases, we will need that link to be public anyway. We do have some possibility to incorporate documents in a more private way, where we use that to develop or to adjust or refine the standards, but we do not make them public. In our evidence database, you will see that some documentation is not public, but is listed. So we do have that possibility. If you would like it to be a private exchange between SEADS and your organization, in that the document is not public, then you can email me the document with the heading, additional evidence, and let me know which comment it is related to in the interactive handbook. So ideally, you provide a website link to that document, public website link to the document in your comment. Okay, so we have a little time, so I will answer some of these other questions unrelated to how to comment. From Giuseppe, I see a question about this is a great initiative. Who is going to be consulted in the process? Are there also farmer organizations from crisis affected areas? So throughout the process, you can learn more about how we've consulted throughout the process of developing these standards. But throughout the process, we have sought to reach as many levels of people, both people affected by crisis as well as practitioners who work in crisis. We have sought to reach all of those layers. So you can look at our website for more information on who and how, but in general, our field team members have supported us in reaching their project participants and asking their project participants questions about crisis response. So throughout the process, we have tried to link to as many layers of the crisis response family, if you will, as possible. And Valerie, I see your question about, can you talk broadly about the team, how the team integrated gender and protection within the handbook? We used the same process as LEGS did, which is to have a core guiding principle on protection and equity. So we include gender under equity, and that guiding principle should be considered across all stages of the project cycle. And we based those guiding principles off of existing humanitarian standards partnership norms and processes for including gender and protection. Now, that is not to say we did it perfectly, and this is the opportunity for you to provide feedback on where we could include specific adjustments to ensure that we are integrating protection and gender. So please do make those comments as you see them. Part of this consultation process is to ensure that people who have this expertise have an opportunity to comment on how we could do better. So please do make any comments where you see that they are relevant. Okay, let's see. So we have a question here from about after all the processes are done, will the handbook be shared with different participants? The handbook will be public as it is now. When it is finished, it will be public on the web, and it will be available in a print version as well. So yes, if you are on our newsletter, you will know that when it is available and in what form it is available. So it will not just be shared with different participants, but it will be shared with anyone who is who visits our website and sees the PDF version will be there, as well as the digital version, like the other humanitarian standards. Okay. Joel, maybe you could clarify your question. I'm not sure I understand your question. Likewise with Mohammed, please feel free to clarify your question. I'm not sure I understand. You can type an additional question in the Q&A. Again, if you have any questions, please do put them in the Q&A button so that I can see them.
I'm wondering if Joel's question is about how long the public consultation will be. So ending on February 4th. So yeah, you have until February 4th to submit your comments. And then I think Mohammed was just saying that they'll discuss together as a group and then they can comment collectively. And I think that's a really great way to go about doing it. If you have a, if you have a team and you can submit your consolidated comments as a team, that would be incredibly helpful, I think.
Yep. That would be very helpful. At the same time as this public consultation is going on, we also have simulation events that are taking place in 5 different places in the world. And those are done with a group of organizations who come together to test different tools in the handbook against a draft scenario. And those simulation events will do, as Mohammed is suggesting, they will, as a group, come up with their comments and then present those comments on the interactive handbook platform as coming from a specific group of people, which carries a significant amount of weight if we know that a group of people have come up with these comments. Okay, I see another question. What's the next steps after the consultation? So after the consultation, when we close public comment period, and when we finish our simulation events, we will spend time as a team aggregating all of these comments, considering what changes and revisions we need to make, how we might be able to make them given the time we have in this edition of SEADS, what comments we may not be able to address now. So we will look at all of those questions once we have all comments in. We will make revisions to the draft, and then it will go to publication. Publication will be a process where it becomes a printed book, but we will also at that time be able, once the publication is finished, we will be able to provide both a PDF, a downloadable PDF, as well as as an online version. At the same time, we will be requesting to join the Humanitarian Standards Partnership, so we will go through that process as well. Right, I'm not seeing any additional questions in the Q&A. Maybe I will see a question here from Kathy about getting a copy of the recording. It will be on our website as well as emailed to anyone on our newsletter. Can you confirm that, Anne?
Yes, we will email it out probably tomorrow to everybody who's registered. And it will also be available on our website. I think if there's no more questions, we can keep going, huh, Racy?
Yeah, yep. Okay. So just as a last slide here, reminding you all ways that you can get more information on SEADS from our website. Feel free to email me, the coordinator. We are also on Twitter and LinkedIn, where we'll continue to post progress. And our newsletter, of course, is one of the best ways to stay up to date with what we are doing and how we're progressing and how you might be able to contribute. So thanks to everyone for joining us today. And we look forward to seeing all of your comments and suggestions. Thanks so much.